I'd imagine if you were a Kerrang whore back in the day, you'd probably be aware of the name Limp Bizkit, and if you weren't a Kerrang whore, there's a good chance you'd still know Limp Bizkit anyway. Huge part of the new metal wave in the early 2000s, for better or for worse. It was a genre that brought out a lot of good hits, but never really stuck the landing with full albums. Limp Bizkit were definitely the best example of that. When you'd sit through a full album of theirs, it would get pretty tiring quite quickly for me. A lot of cringe in the rapping because, you know, Fred Durst isn't really the best rapper out there. Not the best. But ultimately it was more about the rage, the heaviness behind their instrumentals, the chugging guitars, the attitude, the angst. It was all about that. I think some of their tracks were actually okay. The song that sampled Eric B. and Rakim, that wasn't actually that bad. What was it called? My Way? I think it was called My Way. Didn't mind that one, to be fair. I'm not gonna lie. Break Stuff. Yeah, bro, you do want to smash some shit when you hear that song. But in 2021, Limp Bizkit wasn't really anticipating this one and was interested because it seemed as though he was trying to revive his image a little bit, go into a bit of the meme culture with that image of him being like, you know, trying to give off like dad vibes and shit. It then obviously is on this album as a song too. Was just kind of wondering if they were gonna take things a little less seriously, maybe just take the piss out themselves a bit or something. Wouldn't have minded that for a full album, but I can't say that's what we got. And as for the music itself, well, I'm not going to say that the music is particularly very good either, unfortunately. It starts off pretty okay though. The first two tracks are pretty just pretty much just mindless, hard-hitting rock bangers. The guitars are chugging instantaneously. The choruses have a lot of crunch to them. The second track particularly reminds me of the early days of Limp Bizkit. They're channeling that era for sure on that track. But I'm not going to pretend that, you know, it gets much better than Dirty Rotten Biscuit. Even Dad Vibes itself has a pretty weak chorus. Just find a lot of the lyrics on this track to sort of trying to be funny, but I just don't really feel like they ever stick the humor landing that they're supposed to. They're trying to also be funny on the track Love the Hate as well, where you've got this guy that's just being like, oh yeah, Limp Bizkit is so lame, bro, why'd you still listen to Limp Bizkit? It's just, you know, this cringy, you know, old band that no one cares about anymore. The lead singer's trying to be Eminem, and he's got like friggin' Drake hair on his beard or some shit like that. Incredibly corny the way it all comes off. Really bad song. Really did not like this one at all. They're essentially trying to take the piss out themselves and be like, no one likes Limp Bizkit anymore, they're so shit. And then ultimately like, actually though, we're Limp Bizkit and we don't care. And it just does not land at all. It's not funny, it's not clever in any way, it's just really cringe to listen to. At least it's the only track that goes to those lengths of being kind of like meta and self-aware, but I hope they never do that again because it did not work at all. Turn It Up Bitch just kind of brings in that standard Limp Bizkit sound you've heard before. I think if you like it, you're gonna like songs like this, but for me, I was always on the fence with it, and it took a very particular kind of track. Like I mentioned, the other ones that really hit hard, but most of the time it came off a bit corny. And then when you actually listen to Fred's rhymes, and you know, you forget for a moment sometimes that he's actually someone that considers himself a rapper. And then when you hone into some of the lyrics as well, particularly on this track, Turn It Up Bitch, you're like, oh yeah, this is why I don't listen to these guys. One of the worst offenders as well with this album, believe it or not, there's multiple bad offenders, is the way it continually keeps slipping into the slow, cheesy ballad songs, and then going right back into the don't change exactly like that out of nowhere. No reason as to why this track is here. Lyrically, incredibly surface level, just exactly as the title says. You can probably imagine the lyrics just by through the title being called Don't Change. It sounds a bit like they're actually trying to harken back to the days where they made that the Who cover, you know, Behind Blue Eyes on this one. I don't know if they thought, let's just try and do a song like that again, but they sound eerily similar to one another in terms of how they progress and the chorus and stuff. Just a bit weird. Empty Hole coming right after Barnacle, just nonsensical really. The heaviness of Barnacle transitioning into Empty Hole is just random, and clearly they put no effort into expressing why they would just go into this random switch up, to be honest. But the song itself, again, lyrically, just as empty as the whole it's talking about, I guess. They just can't pull this off. They can't pull off the deeper, meaningful moments, particularly not on an album where you've already had Love the Hate right before it. But lyrically, they can't really pull it off either. They just hit cliches and just don't really sell it too well. Pill Popper is just, to me, a pale attempt of them trying to recreate the old days, to be honest. Really sounds poor, sounds dated. Lyrically is horrendous. The random bit at the beginning as well about how the government is telling us all lies is just like, what? What the hell? Wait, why is this here? I don't know. But then obviously the lyrics themselves, just about, taking pills and stuff. Again, feels like they're trying to be a bit, funny, take the piss. Just doesn't land. Snacky Poo reminds me of like some of the worst aspects of new Eminem with the really bad lyrics. The Snacky Poo being mentioned on the chorus just sounds really immature. Again, not in a funny way. You wouldn't mind it if it was made funny, but the way, again, they're trying to harken back to the old days, the good old days, which was like 20 years ago now, even longer than 20 years ago if you go back to their really early stuff. They're literally, referencing the Chocolate Starfish album on the chorus. Just really poorly written. I just have so little time for this, to be honest. Like I say, when he's rapping, he sounds a bit corny. When they hit the choruses are pretty weak lyrically. There's just nothing really to take away from it. And reliving the past in a way that just sounds like, they're trying to make this one for the fans. Hey, Chocolate Starfish, don't you? Let's reference that here, shall we? Just in case you didn't forget, or if you didn't forget, it might be the only album you are aware of by us, so let's just reference that one, because, if I reference Gold Cobra on the chorus, I don't think anyone would care. Final track has a weird sort of throwback vibe, not to the old Limp Bizkit days, but it sounds like an early 2000s track in the way that the guitars are being played. Sounds like something bloody Santana would do. Maybe a better way to put it would be to kind of imagine someone trying to make a song that's coming off the back of Santana's popularity or something like that. Yeah, once again, really not too keen on this one. About relationship here, saying goodbye, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't really add anything new to the style of writing that you've heard a million times before from other artists. Incredibly out of place once again with the style of the music, because we keep going from these oh yeah, we're a Limp Bizkit, to then being like, goodbye, my lady. Such a random album. I'm kind of impressed at how all over the place it is on a musical level, and ideas wise when it comes to the lyrics, it's just all over the place too. But I wouldn't say it's awful. I just think it borders on being bad. Some of these tracks are actually not that bad to listen to, but it's maybe just how jagged the album is that I can't really score this with a positive score. And to be fair, how poorly written many of these tracks are. And even when they go hard, I'm just feeling a bit jaded by this, because like I say, this was all done way back in the day. They're not really reinventing this style in an interesting way in a modern context. They kind of just sound like, Limp Bizkit in 2021 with some like random 3 or 4 out of nowhere slow jams for the sake of it. And then Love the Hate, which is intolerable. Yeah, pretty bad overall, let's be honest. 4.5 out of 10. Not much to defend here. Not much to absolutely hate though. I will give them that. I did think this was going to be worse than it actually was. So, we can't go too negative. It's pretty bad, but yeah. Not the worst thing I've ever heard or anything, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would love to see what you guys think. Have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tell me what I should review next as well. And goodbye. Goodbye.